The world's 20% consume about 80% of available goods, while the poorest 20 consume less than 2%. If emerging countries follow suit, it will be devastating to our environment. The vast majority of this consumption is focused on such non-essentials as cosmetics, sweets, pet food, entertainment, and drugs, with military spending eclipsing all of them combined. Economically speaking, these concerns leave basic public services such as education, clean water, sanitation, and basic health and nutritional concerns in the dust. There are significant side effects to be seen, not only in those populations at the poorest end, but also with those at the top, and at all points in between. These effects are deeply rooted, influencing almost every aspect of life, even rearranging our own definitions of who we are and what life is all about. The patterns of consumption going on today are a relatively new thing to us. Throughout history, the common mode of consumption has been that of frugality, with luxuries being viewed as wasteful. There has long been the presence of a wealthy elite who in the past have exerted influence over the penniless serfdom so that they could claim what limited goods were available. They did this by propagating belief systems among public which upheld the virtues of modest self-denial and restricted consumption. Where this failed, they would aggressively exert control. The sudden explosion of technological advancements likewise seen a sudden availability of goods. Accompanying this is an intensely polarized consumer ratio, preserved and expanded from the past. Now we have a system where the developed world owns the businesses and the lower classes work to produce for lower wages, then buy the products at a markup. Going down the economic ladder, we find the majority of the population in situations where they can't afford the essentials, let alone the goods that they're manufacturing. They are fully supporting the higher end. The Industrial Revolution gave birth to a consumer revolution around the turn of the 19th century. There was an excess of goods because while the people were employed in the production of these luxuries, they did not wish to spend their meager earnings on them. So, big business convinced them to buy what they didn't want by coaxing them into really wanting what they didn't need. The world would readjust to the new psychology as the commercialization of society. The advent of public relations as an application of psychoanalysis would make us buy anything, at first politically during World War I, and later economically and beyond. In the U.S., the Commerce Department was formed to encourage maximum profits. Advertisement budgets grew exponentially. Retail department stores and the magazines in them introduced the concept of seasonal fashion, telling us what to do and how to spend. The government had developed departments of their own to encourage maximum sales by showing us how to express our individuality through the possessions we surround ourselves with. Newfound buying power, bolstered by higher wages and expanding credit, led to reckless spending and the pursuit of happiness through the acquisition of material things. The values of thrift and moderation gave way to a selfish, disintegrated population. Social activism and awareness are fading just as individual rights and powers are disappearing. The capitalist consumer culture doesn't tend to make people any happier. On the contrary, it has been shown to cause depression and low self-esteem when people are concerned with such things as income, status, possessions, and wealth. The cure to the illness for most comes in the form of consuming more in an attempt to feel better about ourselves, thus perpetuating the problem. The upper classes have the advantage, treating other countries, their resources, and their populations as yet more resources to take control of. Multinational corporations find places with the lowest standards and wages from which to produce their goods. Poor countries lose their skilled workers and technicians to wealthier countries. Some of the richer countries pay poor countries to accept their waste. and a tremendous amount of waste is produced as a result of unchecked production. Current consumption patterns are destroying the future of life on Earth. The model is unsustainable, and more people are consuming more and faster with every passing moment. The biosphere can barely handle current levels, but future projections of demand dwarf those of today. And will be impossible to keep up with. The horrors of factory farming, the proliferation of cash crop monocultures, and rampant resource extraction are taking a profound shift in awareness and priorities. Things will change, with or without our cooperation. Bearing a total economic meltdown, what is needed is a profound shift in awareness and priorities. We will have to undergo a radical economic restructuring, which will likely come in the form of a depression, along with massive unemployment until people find their new places. We have to create more demand for organically produced food and make sustainability our goal. There are a million ways to do it, and now is the time to change.